does your podcast make you money? And I'm like, that's oxymoronic. And it's like, what? Like, why is that? Like, what? And I was like, okay, so what is a podcast? You hear people talk about podcasting. It's like, what is a podcast? And it's like, podcast for those people that are in, sales, marketing, and they're like, oh, it's content marketing. And I was like, cool. So we can agree on the word marketing, right? And it's like, yep. I didn't know any of this when I started, by the way. It was all very organic. But now looking back, it's like, it's marketing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. And it's like, so does marketing cost a company money or does it make a company money? They have a marketing budget, don't they? Yeah. So it's meant to cost you money. Yeah. Now the challenge with podcasting, and also one of the blessings, like the barrier to entry is minimal. It's just like, hey, just upload to iTunes, boom, let's go. Right. But at the same time, it's a very slow burn because it's relationship based. Right? You're building a relationship, you're building a community, you're building an audience, yeah? And in fact, I would say the longer you can hold off on monetizing it, the richer the relationship, yeah? Because people don't feel like you're trying to, like what we've been discussing. So it took me a while to realize that actually a good business has 3 pillars to it, and you use the word attract, right? And I'll double click on that because the pillars of business from like old school mentality is like there's marketing, there's sales, and there's, goods and services. Yeah. But for me, when someone said you had a sales problem, now I know what that means. I had no idea what that meant when I was starting out. It's like, oh, you've got a marketing problem. I was like, what's marketing? Like I'm casting a fisherman's net. Like I don't know what that really means. So I had to re-verbiage these to like attract, convert, and deliver. Attract, convert, and deliver. And that just made so much sense to me. Like, I need to deliver something to someone. I need to attract people to what I'm up to. And I need to be able to convert them into what I'm delivering. And the better I deliver, the more I convert, the better I attract, and word of mouth. And it's like, okay, now this holy trinity kind of brings me to scale. Yeah. So that was like at the nexus of the 3. I'm picturing like a Venn diagram here. Yeah. So therein lies this really interesting thing because you can attract not necessarily through content marketing, but you can attract through Facebook ads. You can attract through going to seminars and pitching what you've got and talking to people. Content marketing is a really, really slow burn. It's not made for everybody, I would say, which is why the podcast stats we gave out at the beginning are the way that they are, right? People expect to do 10 podcasts and be like, where's my coaching client? And it's like, bro, yeah, like I was like, 26 episodes in. Yeah. Before like someone came knocking and said, hey, will you? And it was like, that's half a year of podcasting, not really just having conscious conversations, yeah, with people and just sharing and not really expecting anything and just sort of seeing where it goes. Yeah. Just because I knew I was growing in the podcast. It still is just my school in many ways. Now other people are inspired to grow in the same vibe and trajectory. But that to sort of say like, I feel like going into podcasting to sort of leverage it as a strategy to support your business, you've got to have a sizable budget to sort of be like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to edit to a certain level of production to produce something that like hooks people immediately. People go, whoa, like Diary of a CEO did that hella well, Stephen Bartlett, yeah? Like when his team set up his podcast, he was like, how much does it take to build a podcast? And they came back and he said, look, a reasonable one is $40,000. And he said, what if I 10x that? What could you do? Go back to the drawing board, come back. So $400,000 to set up a studio in London, a studio in California, I think, in the US, or is it Austin? Anyway, somewhere in the States, and mirror the two into having the exact same set, fly people into London, fly people here, blah, 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 and get the podcast started, right? So his unfair advantage was the investment in finances. Touch wood, and an individual like myself didn't have $400,000 to sink into a podcast, yeah, or even $40,000 for that matter. But I had patience and time and energy that I was willing to put in. And content marketing is a slow drip. So you've got to go in with the mindset, I'm going to be doing this for the long haul. Yeah. And that's how you build a platform that then attracts people in rather than you having to go out. Now, the podcast has gone to this really amazing place where right now, when we look at business and like business, right, as lead flow, I always get a little bit self-conscious around this because it's like, oh, he started a podcast for lead flow. But like I've just been like organically growing and figuring things out. But the podcast right now at the time of this conversation is almost at 120,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're in end of November 2024. Yeah. At the beginning of 2024, we were at 10,000 subscribers. I just want that to sort of sink in. It's like 110,000 subscribers. Yeah, I've been doing this for 8 years. Yeah, so the last 11 months has been 110,000 subscribers. At the beginning of 2024, I was at 10,000 subscribers. At the beginning of 2023, I was at 3,000 subscribers. So last year there was 7,000 subscriber growth. Yeah. And then you look at the beginning of 2023 all the way back to 2017 since I've known you. Yeah. That is how long it took to get to 3,000 subscribers. Yeah. So people like, and that's what I mean about slow burn. Like now it's easy to sort of turn around and be like, oh yeah, Amrit podcast, wicked, well done. And like now people are being attracted into it. But it's been 8 years of every single week releasing a podcast. Yeah. Now, if you're in it for the, hey, like, where's my finance business incentive in this? It's going to be hard to stick with it for that long, right? But it's all the other stuff, which was like I was connecting to individuals such as yourself on the other side of the planet, traveling, meeting people, having conversations, learning things. And I was like, whether this makes money or doesn't, like, this is interesting. Like I'm talking to really incredible people, and this is a podcasting thing. I'll get off the soapbox, but just to say, after just this. But legitimately, the podcasting is this. Yeah, it's like I will get like when I got Jason on, we talked about selling. I will get a free 1 hour coaching session on how to sell consciously.
Yeah.
The only catch is I have to record it and share it with the world, which will then invite like-minded people to connect back in with me anyway. And I'm like, what's the downside? And it's like, well, it costs you a bit in production and energy and money and like having a team. And I was like, dude, that is like, I need to figure out how to build a bigger, better team. Like this is, we got to do more of this, right? Like there is no downside.
I take that deal.
You know what I mean?
No,
like it just,
100%.
And that's the stuff. If you're into it for that, then you'll stick it through, touch wood, I believe for sure.
And you know, I just want to inject when I flipped to the 1 a week, I got back to reminding myself of that magic, because when you don't have that cadence locked into something that fits your lifestyle and what you want, then you start coming from a different energy. And again, that is felt. And I'm so happy you shared those stats, because I've had a few people on YouTube come in. I had this one lady, she's got millions of subscribers, and she talks about spreadsheet Excel formulas. She just loves doing formulas on Excel. She's an amazing guest that I had a couple of years back. And for the first year, she ended up with 24 subscribers. On the second year, she got to 120 subscribers. And she was like, but I love these, and I love these spreadsheets. So she kept doing. And then like in 1 year, pop just started going nuts. I've been doing I started podcasts without YouTube initially. And I don't know if you had a similar thing, because there was audio only first.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to YouTube, and man, you need that. It was sometimes depressing. Like that first year, I'm posting out these videos and it's like 70 views. And I'm like, you have to have more than the motivation on the financial, because it took time to get some kind of momentum. And then it starts compounding, but you can't be like waiting for that to happen, because it'll happen, like you said, it happened to you in 8 years, and who knows where it's going to go now. But everything that kept you sustained before that is a different energy than the excitement you have about how it's picking up traction now. And so everything purpose-wise, I think, is so critical. Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.